Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we're looking at today is the Kato VG10 Suminagashi Gyuto 180mm knife. And so this knife has a core steel of VG10 stainless steel. It's a very popular stainless steel in lots of different knife lines out there. The heat treat's about 61 to 62 Rockwell, and on that core steel. And the construction is a multi-layered sandwich with layers of softer stainless cladding over the top of that core steel. And you can see the layering effect very easily here. The finish has been etched, so that gives it the kind of the gray gunmetal color and brings out the layers, really highlights those quite dramatically. We'll get a close-up look at it, but it's a real dramatic style finish. The Suminagashi simply refers to the layered effect, basically Damascus, but the layered effect along the edge here. You can see that's kind of what we'd call Suminagashi finish on it, as it compresses those layers as the grind comes into the edge. So it's a really cool look. The weight on the knife is about 145 grams or 5.1 ounces, and the edge length right around 180. So the edge length is from the tip to the chin on the blade itself, and the overall length about a foot, roughly. The spine thickness is about 1.9 millimeter coming out of the bolster, and it pretty much retains a lot of that thickness until you get to the very, very tip with the grind. I'll show you close up, but it doesn't have a lot of taper to it, pretty much right till you hit the end to the grind. The blade height is a little bit lower as a shorter, or I should say less long Gyuto would be, so it's about 40 millimeters, so it's not real tall. The handle type is a stabilized pack of wood colored to a rosewood style finish to it. Fit and finish on the handles, nice. I've got a little bit of feel on the tang. I can kind of feel the tangs bump out a little bit in the rivets, but sometimes you can put these handles in mineral oil and let them plump up a little bit, but that can happen over time if they dry out just a little bit from the factory. So this bolster is kind of pinned on. It's not smooth right in there, but it does have a slight gap, just so you know that. The blade itself is finished nicely, so you've got a little bit of relief on the spine as well as the back of the blade, the choil, so it's pretty comfortable right out of the box. The layers, you can really see those layers quite easily, as well as there's some high-quality hand-chiseled kanji on here. They're hidden a little bit just by the layered effect of the etching and the Damascus finish, but anyway, they are there, and it looks nice. These had a pretty decent out-of-the-box edge to it. I went ahead and sharpened this one up just to see what the steel was like, and it sharpened well for me. It's kind of worked like a lot of VG10 steels I get to sharpen, and pretty standard stuff as far as sharpening goes. Can't speak to edge retention because I haven't really used it, but just a little bit. The finish does have a little bit of a friction when wet, but that's just a characteristic of this gunmetal etching type finish that they have on here. The let's see, let's pull back a little bit here. Out of the box edge I mentioned already, pretty decent, about a 5 out of 10. The balance point on this is just right almost on the bolster there. And the edge profile on this, we don't have a lot of, you'll see that when I go to do this, not a ton of clearance. You have to kind of watch how you're doing your fingers underneath the blade. Give yourself some clearance. If you've got big hands, this may not be a good knife for you. But that's just the nature of a shorter blade at the heel. Here's the profile. It's very curvy overall. There's not really much of a flat spot. So this really rocks nicely. Fairly aggressive belly towards the tip, so I can get pretty high on this before digging the tip in, about right there. Considering this is a shorter knife, that's pretty high. So this definitely rocks really well. It'll work if you've got a little bit of movement in your cuts and you don't want to do straight chopping. So real smooth profile. Not super duper skinny behind the edge, but they've ground it nicely. You can see it and you can kind of feel it when you pinch your fingers and flow towards the blade. But not, again, it's not super skinny at the edge, but they've done a pretty nice job with performance on this. Performance on this, I'd say, is good. It works well through soft ingredients. It's not a super thin laser, but it's got good overall performance. It's a really nice looking knife, made well. And if you're looking for a shorter Gyuto for, you want something different than a Santoku or something like that, this might be a good candidate for you. So here you have the Kato VG10 Suminagashi Gyuto 180mm knife.